shrooms and all this crazy shit they're doing now.
Sig's so old, he used to scratch on real record.
That is true, yeah, that is true. That's actually I still DJ on records, man. Yeah, I still use records. I don't use that fake press button.
Where are a lot of the drugs coming from, though? Is it in-house, made in-house or something?
Mexico. And like Yo said, the fentanyl, a lot of it is China's producing a lot of that shit, and then they ship it out to Mexico, and then the cartels batch it up, cook it up, and then they send it up through the southern border in bulk, and then the dealers here, they cut it up. And they cut it up even more so their product goes further.
When they're getting some of these busts and coming across the border, and they're saying there was enough fentanyl in one bust to kill every American.
Yeah, yep.
335 million people. I think that China should be putting restrictions on how much of that they produce, trying to constrict the flow of it and making sure it just goes to medical places.
So do you think people, the way you guys made it sound, right, fentanyl, it sounds like something that someone would use if they're suicidal. Do you think that people are not using it?
Most of the people that OD are buying something else that's laced with fentanyl, and they don't realize how powerful it is, and they OD because they don't realize that whatever their drug of choice is has been cut with it.
How can you even cut something like this? I don't know. It's in the micrograms.
Like I don't know. I just know that people are dying. No, but wrong.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not surprised because with such a little amount, how can you even do this? Like, it's almost impossible to get the right amount. You know, in a bag of whatever. But what's this guy 6 hour was talking about? Ketamine, yeah.
Wait, so, oh shit, man. So you're saying even the smallest gram is mixed with Molly or something?
No, it's in the micrograms. The fentanyl is in the micrograms. It's like, it's not even milligrams, it's micrograms we're talking here. So how
can you heard him?
Can you imagine? Yeah, sorry.
I said, I don't know if you heard it earlier, Chris, but they were saying it's 3 little tiny pieces. I mean,
it's
we're talking about, it's nanograms.
Yeah, nanograms. It's smarter than nanograms, Curse. Yeah, you're talking like millions of a gram.
Yeah, that's times -6. Oh shit, but so it's in nanograms and it's still analyzing people.
Yes, yep. That was a big controversy with the George Floyd case, because the original autopsy.
That's what you meant when you said the bus was able to kill every American, because he kills in nanograms. That shit's crazy. Because I was wondering, what did they beat by that?
We're talking 15 pounds of fentanyl, and it was enough to kill every American.
This is multiple times a year, Curse, that they do these busts, man.
What about it's the DEA, right? The guys that work with drugs?
Yeah.
How are they dealing with this?
They're not. That's the whole point. They're not. That's why most people say it was a conspiracy.
When you allow 20 million people to float across the border, and any one of those people could be carrying even a pound of fentanyl, I mean, it's out of control. You can't keep up with that.
If you listen closely, you start seeing the pattern. Someone once said that to me last. I think I saw not someone at TikTok saying something like that, because I know something similar is happening here. But what do you think? A lot of this government, I mean, clearly a lot of the populace are complaining about immigrants not bringing in drugs, but almost none of them are like dealing with it, right? I mean, it's almost possible to talk about dealing with these issues, but really, it's almost like none of them really care as a collective.
You know, the problem with let's say, with Western people, for the elites, is that we have rights, that we complain, that we need to vote, that we need this, and we need that. The type of world that they're picturing, let's say after 2030, when everything allegedly should be digitalized and everything. It's not a democratic situation. So I think the big problem with the people from the Western world that do have all of these rights and all of this Western style of living, so they have to depopulate a little bit, more than a little bit. And all methods are valuable. Let's say all methods are, you can use propaganda, you can use LGBT, you can use drugs, you confuse the youth, you do all this crazy stuff, and to reach the goal. And I think they're going to be successful. Let's say in 10 years, I think they're going to be successful.
Oh, your microphone's really low, Curse. We can't hear you, brother.
Oh, sorry. Cause Yosh, you said no, it was you. Sorry, it was you, sick, right? About how they're allowing so many immigrants to pass through. So you think that all ICE busting those Cuban thing and whatever, it's just all play, and they're just gonna come back and maybe one of them will have drugs or something? But the way it sounds, I'll be honest with you, you guys it's almost sounds scary, right? It's like you're saying something.
They were, during the Biden administration, they were getting 1,500 to 3,000 stops a day. Now it's under 90. So we don't have the problem with the drugs as much coming across the border. Maybe all 90 of those people are drug mules, but most likely not. But just the mass number of people that were coming across every day, there was no way for them to stop enough people and try to intercept drugs that were coming in on the backs of those people, which is the way that some of them bought their passage from the coyotes through, was to go ahead and be a mule for the drugs.
So just
It's pretty. Sorry, okay, yeah. I wanted to say real quick, it's pretty obvious. I mean, you can, you're doing some crazy technological projects and Project Stargate, and how much is it? 800 billion, whatever. You're doing the impossible, but you can't find fucking fentanyl in the whatever hidden under a truck or whatever. You can't do it in America today. You're letting the stuff in because you need to fabricate crisis to then propose a solution and change the whole situation. So every method is allowed, let's say.
yeah, I just asked ChatGPT about the fentanyl deaths in the last 5 years. So last 5 years, you've had roughly 312,000 fentanyl deaths. That's 1% of the population in half a decade that has died off because of fucking fentanyl. That's fucking crazy. Fucking crazy.
And tell me that's not a declaration of war.
Yeah.
If China's feeding us that shit, that's an act of war.
So you don't think your government is in it? You just think it's just the Chinese? I mean, that's why I kept asking you that question.
Well, unfortunately, we found this out during COVID. We don't make any pharmaceuticals in this country. We have a pretty thriving pharmaceutical manufacturing business in Puerto Rico, but during George W.'s term, they found out there was a lot of corruption and stuff going on there, so they shut it all down. So what that left us is that all of our pharmaceutical manufacturing was coming from China, and a lot of the PPE was coming from China. So when we locked down the entire world, and the United States was looking for PPE, and they were looking for the pharmaceuticals that we needed, we were at the total beck and call of what China wanted to do with us.
By pharmaceuticals, you're talking about, are you including generic?
I'm talking everything from penicillin to vectormycin to, we didn't make anything here. Aspirin.
That's strange, eh? But don't you find that that's strange? I mean, you've been, China has always been somebody else.
But that's a direct effect of the environmentalist movement, because they made it so hard to produce anything in this country that all these pharmaceutical companies fled to places where they could get it made cheaper and where they could have it without all these restrictions that drove the cost of producing those pharmaceuticals up.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but don't you wonder why use your adversarial? I hear what you're
China
saying.
is?
No, like
China?
why import drugs specifically or put yourself in a position where you import drugs from someone who potentially you see as your enemy in the future?
Oh, that's the question everybody started to ask when we realized, oh, we've outsourced all of this stuff, and if there's some kind of a major beef, China could just decide to not give us any drugs. I mean, what would we do? I mean, we found out the same thing with, we outsource a lot of the parts that are in our military and our planes and things. You know, if we can't fully produce it ourselves, and there's some kind of big, international brouhaha, and countries decide that they're not going to supply us with the things that we need to keep our stuff flying, what are we going to do? You know, it was one of the biggest reasons that we won World War II is that we were self-sufficient and we could do our own production, and we outproduced Japan, who didn't have any resources. We outlasted Germany, and we just were able to keep that machine going and keep putting out thousands and thousands of planes and replenishing the ones that we lost, where they started to get into finite resources. We also had all kinds of people to draw from. You know, at the end of the war, Japan was barely training their pilots how to fly and just telling them to go crash into the boats, because they just didn't have anybody with any skill, or they didn't have anybody to draw from. And in Germany, they had 12-year-old boys on the line and 70, 80-year-old men on the line, because they'd gone through all the military-age people. And it was their last effort to try to keep an offensive going, or a defense going, at whatever point in the war they were at. But that's, we just thankfully have so many natural resources and so many people to draw from, that we were able to create our own war machine and keep it going until we could get rid of our adversaries.
So hear me out on this. Supposedly today China is the adversary, right? All right. So, but tell me how actually both Europe, I'm in Europe, okay, I'm Italian, I'm in Italy. Europe and America are somehow using the same method, or trying to impose, slowly but surely, the same method that the social credit system that they're using in China, basically on us too, right? With CBDCs, with Internet of Things, digitalizing everything. So, but supposedly these people, they're our enemies. Meaning we don't share the same values, yes, supposedly, but eventually we're doing the same. So no wonder today we see some sort of denied but factual collaboration between the US and Europe and China, regarding supplies, regarding, as you said, PPIs, medical gear, medical stuff, pharmaceuticals, raw powders and everything, because of course they're in bed together. They've used China for so many years as a testing ground for the social credit system, and see if it worked or not. And they see that it's properly working. The control grid is actually in place and is 101% working. And now they want to propose the same here in Europe and in America. So this whole narrative, I think, of who is against who, I think it's too surface level. I mean, we have to dig a little deeper, I think, in my view.
I mean, there can be more than one war front, right? I mean, we could have a country that's flooding our borders with drugs that are killing hundreds of thousands of Americans. And we also could have people that are here that have different ideology trying to work their way into positions of power to where they can influence which way the country goes, and when we start accepting these norms that are going to degrade our ability to control ourselves, control our population. There's a major brainworm that's been into a lot of Americans' heads, and they're believing a lot of stuff that hasn't worked. Somebody said it great the other day. I can't remember who was it, but I attribute this to it. They said that last 100 years, socialism and fascism killed 100 million people. And somehow the hubris of current Marxist or communist is that, well, they didn't do it right. We're going to do it right this time, and it's not going to get out of control, which it gets out of control every single time it's tried.
Because it's counterfactual. I mean, Marxism and socialism, they try to propose something that is pragmatically unfeasible. It's impossible to do this. You know, but you see that today we have, let's say, a conversion of two things: methods that were taken from fascism in Italy through Mussolini, and Nazism through Hitler, and socialism and communism through, you know, whatever USSR style of doing things. Yes, because basically, so you see the implementation of certain technologies toward social engineering. Yeah. So as we like what they have in China with the social credit score system, you're using technologies to basically shut people down to, you know, impose a certain way to do things in society. You can close people bank account. You can do whatever to people if you control them digitally. And I think this is the last resort. It's like a nightmarish type of situation, and it's the wet dream of a tyrant, basically. And again, I want to stress this because this is crazy. Like, there is a narrative for people to view China, Russia, you know, all the forces from the East as the evil forces. We have to fight them. But somehow we're doing the same. How is it possible? Like, you're telling me these people are our enemies, but you have these projects like Project Stargate that demands basically everything to artificial intelligence. You digitalize everything. You control society through digital means, ruled by AI. Like in China, you're doing the same. How are these people my enemy? You are my fucking enemy, you know? Your own government is the enemy, not these people.
As I said, you could be